Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time from Masi. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, re-reviews, video game stuff, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now this is for the film Perfect Stranger from 2007. And no, I wish it was the TV show Perfect Strangers with Bronson Pinchot, because I would have had a better time watching that than this movie. I've seen this film before. I didn't remember a damn thing about it for good reason, because this movie fucking sucks. So I keep forgetting that the microphone will be blown out, so I try to push this camera back, but I keep forgetting. I'm so loud. I get so pissed at movies like this. Sorry. Again, for those who get your eardrums blown out by this. So, the sad thing is, this is written by James Foley. This is the guy that did At Close Range. Really good movie with Sean Penn and Christopher Walken. And then you had Glengarry Glen Ross. It was a great movie. Glengarry Glen Ross is a great film. Jack Lemmon, Ed Harris, yes, Kevin Spacey, of course, Al Pacino. Fear, I didn't mind Fear with Mark Wahlberg, and was it William Peterson? And then he directed this, and this seems like a really bad Lifetime Channel movie. That's what it felt like a bad Lifetime Channel film. It's funny, I remember I reviewed a Hallmark movie, and someone had a good thought. Lifetime Channel is more like making cheap thrillers, and then Hallmark like cheap Christmas movies. That's true. This would fit on the Lifetime Channel. So it stars Halle Berry, who I like Halle Berry, but I think she's awful in this. I think it's one of her worst performances, up there with Catwoman. Bruce Willis, who I like Bruce Willis, but he's phoning it in. He's sleepwalking through this role. Giovanni Ribisi, the guy who was in Avatar. Just a bunch of trees. Halle Berry, who I don't buy in this movie as a reporter. Just the way she behaves, the way she acts, she would have been fired in 5 minutes. With how quick the temper she is and stuff. She's talking with this U.S. Senator. She works for the New York Courier. And about the senator kind of having some flings of the same-sex vicinity. But she comes with the story. Her partner is Giovanni Ribisi, who's able to record audio footage, which I don't know if you're able to do that. Like to record someone without their knowledge. I don't know if that's entrapment. I don't know. Maybe that is. Maybe you can, but something about that seemed off about it. Like, you wouldn't be able to do this. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe I'm right. So they're celebrating. The boss says we have to bury the story. She gets super pissed. Pretty much says I quit. And then soon enough, she meets up with a friend named Grace. And Grace says, you know what, I got a story for you. I was with this ad executive, this big, rich ad executive guy, played by Bruce Willis. And the guy's married, but he wants to break it off. And I could blackmail him, and we could do all this stuff here. So, one thing leads to another, and Grace is found dead. So Halle Berry is going to look into who killed this person. She thinks maybe Bruce Willis did it. So, with the help of Giovanni Ribisi, she goes undercover for this executive agency that Bruce Willis works. This is a dull, boring as shit thriller. There ain't no thrills in the thriller. There's no chases. There's no close calls. There's no suspense. There's no attempts at suspense. The mystery is faulty Because literally, this is a movie, I shit you not. They filmed 3 endings where any one of these 3 people could be the killer. If you're able to just pick that out of a hat, the rest of your stories don't be faulty. Because you look back and go, well, wait a minute, how come, well, this wasn't happen, this wasn't happen? Because they can't be too specific and detail on certain things, because any one of them could be the killer, because they filmed 3 fucking endings, and they just picked it out of the hat. And the rest of the film, like, it's either Halle Berry working for Bruce Willis, Giovanni Ribisi being creepy, and I'm point watching Halle Berry fuck. And actually, Halle Berry's boyfriend, I recognize, was a Gary Dowerden. He was a guy that was on the TV show CSI. I think he was in the movie Alien Resurrection. I think he was the guy with the guns that the bullets would bounce off. I know he got in some issues with drugs and things of that nature, and that's why he had to, sadly, got kicked off of CSI. I don't know where this was in his career, but yeah, I'm like, I recognize that guy. And a lot of computer sexting, where, oh, Bruce Willis uses this thing and has this username, and then I don't have a username, and then Giovanna Ribisi creates it, and then it seems like she's talking to Bruce Willis, and it's also one of those things, I guess they thought, well, people type will be boring, so when the person types, a voice pops up. But it actually made it seem more ridiculous. You know, Jumpin' Jack Flash did that better. Where it's just Whoopi Goldberg typing, and then when she went to the apartment, she heard the guy's voice, and then afterwards she audio visualizes. When she reads it, she hears the guy's voice because she heard the voice on the answering machine, and the guy just talking normally, but when she reads it, she hears it that way. That's how we, the audience, hear it. So I'm more interested in making it sound like. You might as well have done it that way, because you know how Bruce Willis talks. You've heard him. And I think the audience would have gotten it and understood it, and would have sounded less silly. So if you want to see Halle Berry and supposedly Bruce Willis computer sexting, long before I guess, texting, here you go. But it really wasn't that exciting or thrilling or suspenseful. She's either, you're thinking Bruce Willis is either the most obvious killer or the most obvious red herring. I just to throw some kind of excitement, there's a bit where Bruce Willis throws a guy in an office because he's a spy, and then pretty much tells him to get out. Halle breaks up with her boyfriend. Sometimes you get a flashback of Halle Berry about her father, which will lead into the fucking ending of this movie, man. And there's literally nothing else that much until the third act. Nothing really else happens in the film than what I just said. Halle Berry trying to get into Bruce Willis's pants, or at least make him think that she wants it. They're at a party here. They're texting on the computer here. She's trying to seduce him. But, of course, I always think of, oh yeah, these two were in The Last Boy Scout. And they had more sexual tension in that brief spit in the bar in The Last Boy Scout than they did in this movie. Spilled my drop of piss. I spilled my glass of piss. You're nobody. Shh, don't tell anybody. It made me want to rewatch The Last Boy Scout, is what it wanted me to do. Just Halle Berry's in that film and playing Damon Wayans' girlfriend. And again, they have like one scene or so together, her and Bruce. And then there's more sexual tension in that one fucking scene than this entire movie. And I love Halle Berry. I will root for and defend Kidnap any day of the week. I love Kidnap. I got the Blu-ray right there. I will defend that film any day. I liked her in John Wick Chapter 3. People hate her in it. I'll defend her in that movie. I thought she did a bad job in this. I don't know, just the way she was directed. I don't know, just the lines she was told to say. Just the way she was going off the handle, which I guess is supposed to be understandable for what you find out, but at the same time just came off as clunky. This is a bit that she's trying to get a USB. Bruce Willis finds her. Bruce Willis fires her. Then there's a bit that Bruce Willis confronts Halle Berry in a car. He does this, but he's like, just because you want to hurt someone doesn't mean you will. And doesn't hurt her. Drives her off. So that kind of tells the audience he may not be the most likable person, but not truly evil either. And then it's one of those movies that just throws like twist after twist after twist. And tries to make him into such a quick succession to not make you try to think about, wait a minute, what? And comprehend what's going on. Spoilers. Because this is the kicker of this movie. After the dull, boring ass, going to parties, lack of seduction, because there's no sex, no nudity, really, no, like, at least from Halle Berry's part. So not really much chemistry between the two. No close calls, no chases, no suspense moments. Fuck, I found more suspense moments in Bruce Willis' Color of Night, which I'd rather watch than this. And that's a very flawed film, but I think that's a better movie than this. I do. I'll put Color of Night with Bruce Willis above this movie. She finds out. She goes home to see Giovanni Ribisi, and Giovanni has created this shrine in her name. Has pictures of her. Also, I guess he was fucking that girl Grace, that lady Grace. Also, apparently a lot of times when she was chatting who she thought was Bruce Willis, it was actually with Giovanni. She gets pissed, and then he's like, oh yeah, well what about your secrets? So ultimately they help frame Bruce Willis. And Giovanni later on comes up and tells her that I know your secret. You get a flashback where her dad was abusing her. Her mom killed the guy. They buried the guy in the backyard. And the girl looked up, and Grace, as a little girl, was watching the whole thing. And then apparently for the past 10, 15, 20 years, Grace has been blackmailing Halle Berry. And so when Grace came up with this plan to blackmail this guy, it gave Halle the opportunity to use Belladonna to kill her and then frame Bruce Willis. Also funny that when Giovanni's pretty much telling this whole thing of explaining what happened, it must be like for a long time, because at one point he's telling her own flashback just for Giovanni to go, look how smart I am. At one point they're sitting looking at each other in a hallway. Then we're in a flashback that only took a couple minutes, but then they're on a couch and her head is on his lap. Then it goes for a couple minutes. Then they're standing and look at each other. I mean, how long was this fucking story to go from sitting down to her head on your lap to now you're standing? I mean, this is only a matter of minutes, but then all these fucking positions you guys are in. And then you're thinking, wait a minute, Halle Berry killed Grace? Really? Here's the thing of it, though. She didn't have to frame Bruce Willis. She already got away with it. Because the cops did not look at Halle Berry at all as a suspect. Hell, when the body's found, the girl's mother is telling Halle how, you guys are best friends, and I'm so glad you're here, and the cops are seeing this. There's never a moment that cops think Halle Berry did this, Halle Berry's a suspect. So why did she go out of her way to frame Bruce Willis in the first place when she was already in the fucking clear? She was already in the clear. She's this supposedly successful reporter. Like, there was no reason to even try to frame Bruce Willis in the fucking first place. In fact, wouldn't it bring more suspicion that if the cops had 5 minutes to look into it? Wait a minute. I did. Like, why is Halle Berry working at Bruce Willis's ad agency for a bit? Because that would be on the records. I guess you'd argue, well, I'm investigating. Well, why didn't you tell the police about this? If you had any ideas. Also, even with the blackmail that Grace... So Grace, I don't know how old the girls were. 10? I don't know. 11? So... And how old are they? So let's say 20 years. Or let's say 15. I don't know, 10... Let's say 10 years. You're saying for 10 years, this girl's been blackmailing Halle Berry. You know what Halle Berry would say? Well, number one, she could go to the place, since they haven't talked for a while, dig up the body, burn it, cremate it, go somewhere else, put it back in, wherever the fuck, and then go to Grace and go, fine, tell someone. Fine, I will. Yeah, what's Grace going to tell the cops? Oh yeah, Mr. Police Officer, I saw this murder 10 years ago, and I didn't tell anybody because I was blackmailing this lady. Could you help me? Grace, you don't be in jail almost as much as Halle Berry. In fact, they might even give Halle Berry's character more leniency because she was 10 years old, and then she would talk about how she was abused and all this. You, on the other hand, could get a worse fucking fate than Halle Berry's character. Well, what about her mom? We never see the mom, as in the modern time. So I didn't know if the mom was still alive or not. I mean, I guess Bruce Willis asked, do you have family? And she goes, just me and my mom. But since that mom is an important character that is a big part as we come to find out Halle Berry's childhood, wouldn't you think there's one moment we see the mom character? A phone call? A meeting? Anything? In the modern time? So maybe you say, well, Halle Berry, wants to keep going on because she's worried what will happen to her mom. But we never see the mom, so out of sight, out of mind. And also, like, hey, Grace, you don't be in deep shit, too, because the cops don't go, really? So you kept this a secret for 10 years, and you didn't tell anybody. Fuck, I could label you an accessory to murder. You don't be in jail just as much, Grace. So, Halle Berry could tell Grace, you don't be as fucked as I am. Because they don't like that you knew about murder and then sat on it for 10 years and then blackmailed me. They're not going to like that shit either. So, it just... And also, it makes you not like anybody. Because, like, hey, Bruce Willis is a dick, but I don't know if he deserved to be framed for murder. Halle Berry, he's framing, she murdered Grace. And Grace was not the nicest person either. And then when Giovanni Ribisi calls her out on it, and then he makes a mistake of going, "So what you don't do for me, the TV quiet." I don't know what the fuck answer he expected, because she's sitting there stunned and crying. And I guess he was so blind he didn't notice the knife right next to them because she stabs him. So his common sense, he has no spidey sense. She stabs the shit out of him. And then calls and says, plants evidence on him. Goes, "I think we sent the wrong man to jail. This guy tried to attack me." And then the camera pans and you see some random neighbor staring at her. Which I don't know if we even saw this neighbor before. But you see this neighbor staring at her, so the neighbor saw the whole thing. So whether the neighbor is he on blackmail too, or the neighbor will tell the whole story. I don't fucking know. It's just like, really? This is what you're going with the ending? This is what you're going with? The whole time she was the killer and it was just this old plan. Convoluted plan to frame Bruce Willis. Which, I mean, now that I think about it, I guess it's her being a reporter. I'm going to frame him. I'm going to pretend to have these sexting messages so we can save these messages and then send them off to the police that will then suspect Bruce Willis. And then because this one painting or something else has belladonna, then we think Bruce Willis did it. It just seemed like a very convoluted way to frame someone when it didn't seem like you needed to frame anyone to begin with. It just seemed like no one was questioning that you did anything or on your... had a target on your head. It's funny how the movie's so goddamn boring and dull, and then the ending's so batshit stupid. And you're just like, fuck this fucking movie. I mean, Halle Berry's awful. Bruce Willis phoning it in. Giovanni Ribisi's being Giovanni Ribisi. The direction is lackluster. I'm like, this is the guy that did Glengarry Glen Ross and At Close Range and Fear? What the fuck happened? What in the flying fuck happened? Shit mystery, no suspense, no thrills, no chases, no close calls, dog shit ending. Fuck this movie. Later.